Well, good morning again, Earth Science. I wanted to take some time and just demonstrate how clouds appear, the different types of clouds you can get in different weather situations. So remember, this is an assignment where you can either write down 10 facts about what you learn, or you can draw the same thing that I draw and label the same things that I label, and then you can turn in a photo of your work. So this is all about types of clouds. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by drawing the landscape here. So here's our land, and here's me, and here's my dog. And here's my house. And if you want, you can have some other items on your land if you want, that's just fine. But when we name clouds, clouds can be named in a number of different ways based on their appearance and also based on how high up they are, okay? So we've got to keep in mind a few cutoffs for height. So I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna make a dashed line. If you wanted to use a ruler to do this, you could. But this cutoff height is at about 6,500 feet. Okay? And then we're going to have another cutoff way up in the sky, super high in the sky. And this is going to be at 23,000 feet. 23,000 feet, okay? And so when it comes to clouds, we're often name them just after their shape. So let's say there's some nice weather, puffy clouds that are overhead our home this particular day. And these really nice, easygoing clouds, the ones that we see shapes in, the ones that look like they have, they make animal shapes, or we'll see some religious figure or some other type of, I don't know, it's just some sort of dreamy shape in them on these nice days. They are made by these clouds, which are called cumulus clouds. Okay? And cumulus just basically means heaped or puffy. Like a bunch of cotton balls, okay? Sometimes you can actually see them where they're so low, it's almost like they look like living organisms. They're just so low in the sky. Now, you can get other more types of flat clouds, like sheet-like clouds that are brought in by warm fronts. And these sheet-like clouds are called stratus clouds. And stratus typically means layered. So stratus are like these sheet-like layered clouds like that. And sometimes you can get kind of a combination of both of them where they look kind of puffy, but at the same time, they kind of make a sheet as well. And so this can be called strato cumulus. So sometimes you can get a combined effect like that, okay? Another one that can happen is that sometimes we'll get a sheet-like cloud. It's pretty big. I'll kind of make it over here. And it's really loaded with raindrops, and it ends up raining on that landscape. And so if we do have rain happening there, there's a name for that. The term nimbo means rain. So this is nimbo. And in the case of this cloud, it happens to be kind of sheet-like, so, or layered, so we call it nimbostratus. A nimbostratus cloud. Once again, nimbo meaning rain and stratus meaning sheet-like. I'll put a little definition down here that nimbo means rain. Okay? Now we've taken care of the base layer that clouds can be found in. Notice I'm leaving a little space over here just because I've got one big old cloud to take care of here in a little bit. But in this middle level between 6,500 feet and 23,000 feet, sometimes these cumulus clouds just can be a little bit higher up in the sky. And when they're higher up in the sky, of course, they appear to be smaller. And so, since they are still the same type of shape of cloud, only they happen to be mid-level, for mid-level, we use the term alto. Mid-level. For those of you students that are in band, you may be already familiar with this term, like alto saxophone, like a mid-level type of instrument for playing those mid-level notes, right? So these types of clouds here, since they're mid-level and they're puffy, we call them alto cumulus. And then we can go even higher up in the sky, where you may have seen this on a colder day, where it looks like these clouds are just tiny little cotton balls way up in the sky, and there's almost like a grid of them, where they're just kind of in a pattern. They're up there really small. The term for really high level is cirro. The term cirro, I'll underline that too. The term cirro means high level. Okay, and so these types of clouds, high level, puffy clouds, are known as cirro cumulus. Okay? Sometimes the wind can be so strong in these higher heights, and the temperatures can be so low. Usually as you go up in the atmosphere for a time, the temperature can drop. It can become super cold. Sometimes we can get these really kind of wavy, wispy clouds that look like this, way up high. And they do happen to be on windier days, but these are really up high ones, and they're so cold that they're made out of ice crystals. These ones here are called just plain cirrus clouds. Okay, so cirrus clouds are up there. Next up, let's have our stratus clouds. Let's take care of those guys. So stratus clouds can be in the other layers. So this would be alto stratus. Then you can also have really high up sheet level clouds like that, which would be cirrostratus. Sometimes in a cirrostratus cloud, if you catch it right, sometimes the sun will be shining through a cirrus cloud like that, and it will actually make a halo. You'll get this really interesting halo effect, and they'll call that a sundog, and that's from cirrostratus clouds. And then I've left this section open because if a cold front is passing through and it really stirs up the atmosphere, we'll get one last condition where these cumulus clouds, they'll get pushed around and they'll build up and they'll build up, and the pressure will drop, bringing in just more junk and moisture into the atmosphere. And that's where we get these gigantic clouds. Sometimes they'll even call them anvil-shaped clouds because they look like an anvil from a cartoon. They're just huge, and they take up all three layers, and they're big and puffy like that. And this is called a cumulo because it's all puffy, and then it is producing tons of rain. So if you recall, we had a term for rain in here, and remember it was over here. The term nimbo means rain. So this is a cumulonimbus cloud. Okay, cumulonimbus clouds bring all the power. They also produce tornadoes because of all that violent air movement. So we can have a tornado here. They also produce these interesting like little shapes underneath the clouds sometimes, and they look like little udders, like that. And since they look like they came from the udders of a mammal, like a cow, sometimes they'll call them mammatus clouds. I'll write that down here. M-A-M-M-A-T-U-S. Mammatus clouds can happen as part of these big cumulonimbus clouds. These are also the clouds where there's so much of an updraft sometimes that the rain inside of a cumulonimbus cloud sometimes will go up. They'll be brought up into that updraft of the cloud, and they'll get up so high that they'll become ice crystals like that. And then they'll cycle back down. And as they cycle back down, they'll gain some more water droplets on them. And then they'll actually cycle back up sometimes and get brought back up. And so this is how hail can be formed. So in this case, we can say that we got hail formation happening here. And as soon as those ice pellets get heavy enough to counteract the updraft and fall out of the cloud, that's when they produce that hail, and you get those big ice pellets that can form. Sometimes they can be golf ball sized. The world records for hail, they're more like the size of a grapefruit, so about that big, which is huge. But that can happen in the cumulonimbus cloud, okay? So you can see that as long as you know the shape, whether it's raining or not, and what level it's at, you can usually name just about any cloud that's in the sky. There you go.